Hello, every pony. So since we got chapter 12, I think it was, out of the way the other day, I thought I'd have a little bit of fun and make you guys wait a little bit more for the next chapter. Instead, I'm going to do the one-shot suggested by Anime Freak 4453. So you guys can blame that person. But I want to thank them for their suggestion, because it actually was a pretty cool story. So that's probably what I'm going to go with. Obviously, from the image, you can assume it somehow involves Big Mac. And it does. So, let's go ahead and get to it. The story is Big Freaking Macintosh by Aegis Shield. I think that's pronounced. It's on FimFiction, and as I usually do, I'll throw in a link to the story so you guys can read it yourselves. And as with Roommate's Vampire, the FimFiction page for the story is where I also found the image. Okay, Big Freaking Macintosh. Author's note. This is my 60-minute pony writing challenge to myself. I am sorry. So sorry. Smiley face made up with an X and a D. Big Freaking Macintosh. Big Macintosh got out of bed, cracking the bones in his neck back and forth. The sun was rising over the horizon in a slow, lazy way. But the stallion was not lazy. He went about his morning routine, a big smile on his face. Today was his day off, and it was time to work his Apple family mojo. Smirking at himself in the mirror, he trotted downstairs to the breakfast today. 30-minute writing challenge, what do you want? Hey, big brother. We forgot a few trees yesterday, do you mind? Applejack said, rushing back and forth to put things in her saddlebags. She was supposed to meet her friends for a picnic that day. Yup. The massive stallion gave a roll of his shoulders, but went outside without his yoke. Both sisters and Granny Smith watched him go, blinking. Oh, it was going to be one of those days. Big Mac sauntered outside, spotting the trees that they'd missed yesterday. Smirking in that confident male way, he reared up and kerstomped the ground so hard the earth shook. The trees practically shit themselves, dropping all the apples they had into the waiting buckets below. A few trips to the barn later, the buckets were put away and the stallion was off to town. Every mare turned when Big Mac arrived on the scene, spitting his little sprig of wheat to one side. Oh, it's Big Macintosh! One of them swooned and fell over at the mere sight of him. It's Big Mac! Another leaned into a fence post so she wouldn't fall over. Ladies? He said in his deep, syrupy voice as he went by. His smile really lit their fires. They were tucking tails and back legs pressed together everywhere he went. He stopped in front of a gaggle of mares that were fighting over something in a market stand. Extending his neck to see above the rabble, he cocked his head. Whatever the stand was selling, it didn't matter, but there didn't seem to be enough of whatever it was. Big Mac turned his head when he saw police ponies coming to break up the madness of frantic buying and yelling. He had to do something. He separated himself from the herd and cleared his throat loudly. Every mare turned. Oh, hello, Big Mac. Hi, Big Mac. They were all ears for whatever the gorgeous stallion had to say. Ladies? He said a singular word, smiling his manliest smile. There was swooning, but the guards were still on their way down the street. What if they arrested some pony? That wouldn't be any good. Ponyville was so small it could really hurt some pony's reputation spending the night in jail in a town where everybody knew everybody. That probably should be every pony knew every pony. The Crimson Stallion cleared his throat again, calling upon his most virile and sacred Apple family stallion's secrets. He had to end this rabble right away and restore the peace. Shazam! He jabbed a hoof at the crowd with all the power he could muster. His eyebrows danced. Oh, gods! Every man in the crowd suddenly pitched over, having orgasmed so hard they'd lost a feeling in their legs. Little hearts were flying everywhere. The guards arrived at the edge of the frantic herd, just in time to see every pony decide it was post-coitus nap time. Purring mares strewn everywhere with the scent of sex heavy on the breeze. They just didn't know how to react to that. The public disturbance seemed over, but wow. Really, wow. Big Mac wandered on to enjoy his day off. He stopped at Sugar Cube Corner, but spotted a little filly trying to get her kite out of a tree. Big Mac! Big Mac! She came up to him, rearing up and putting her tiny hooves on his massive chest. He looked down at her. Yup, he asked. Can you get my kite? It's too high up for me. She whimpered. Yup. The massive stallion went to the base of the offending tree, tilting his head back. He squinted until he saw the little string attached to it and grabbed it in his teeth. He pulled a bit, but the tree wouldn't let go. Growling a little, he wrapped the string around his front hooves and gave a mighty tug. The tree came down with a ground-shaking splinter. He untangled the kite and string, giving it to the tiny little filly. Turning, he shoved his head under the tree trunk and heaved the whole thing onto his back. With a loud grunt, he shoved the shattered tree upright back into the ground. It would grow back just fine. He knew a lot about growing trees. Thank you, Big Mac. The filly toddled off, her kite already in flight again. Yup. Oh, Big Mac! A pair of mares approached from one side of him. He turned, blinking. We were wondering if you were up to stud this year, they asked. Big Mac eyed them, considering. Lost my place. Awkward. Okay. Big Mac eyed them, considering. They're both mares. Okay. My wife and I, well, we can't have any foals between us, and we'd really like them. Yup. He smiled in such a way that their thighs quivered a bit. They led him along to a private home, and he did his sacred duty. Both of them. 3 times each. Over a coffee table. Walking out of that house with his head high and happy cooing at his back, he shut the door with a toss of his mane. 11 months later, both mares would give birth to beautiful foals full of energy and a zest for life. What else? When the stud stallion was Big Macintosh Apple. Finally coming to his destination, the rugged and manly stallion dropped in front of the library after having a bite to eat at Sugar Cube Corner. He stood there, rolling his shoulders one way, then another. He was a stallion on a mission. This was it. He didn't get days off very often, but the muscled crimson pony was about to face his destiny. Clearing his throat, he went in. The lovely lavender librarian inside, Twilight Sparkle, was perched over her desk with an innocent smile on her face. In front of her was some tome or another, and her eyes sparkled with grand interest at whatever she was reading. Her beautiful eyes flicked up at him after a time, for his hooves made heavy sounds as he entered. Oh, hello, Big Macintosh. Come to check something out? She asked with a smile. Yup. He checked around to make sure no pony else was in the library. Shutting the door behind him, he swept powerfully across the room, pushing Twilight's book off the desk. He pressed his powerful chest out where she could see it best. The slender, beautiful mare gave a squeak as her eyes widened in awe and appreciation for his masculine form. Today, he said, you. He poked her chest with a more than friendly smile. Then he pressed her down over her study desk and... Twilight, what are you reading? Spike asked. Huh? Twilight jerked upright from where she'd been scribbling furiously on a parchment for the past hour. Her face went scarlet and the paper burst into flame by magic. Nothing! Nothing! She said in a squeaky voice, which I didn't imitate, her heart racing and beads of sweat going down her temples. You're breathing awfully hard, Spike said suspiciously. It's nothing, squawked Twilight, face getting redder and redder. The end. It was rather delightful. First time I've tried to do a Spike voice. I guess it came out okay. I think it's pretty funny. But it's probably enough goofing off. I will upload this, and then I'll probably get to work on the next chapter. I do want to thank everybody, every pony, who's been subscribing and commenting. You guys are fantastic. Makes me wish I was that much better. Just, you know, to really show you guys how much I appreciate it. I do have a bit of good news. I might be getting a better microphone here in the near future. So it'll be fantastic. We'll see, but I think I'm probably just going to go ahead and spend the money on it, so it's a pretty good deal. So anyway, I will upload this, and assuming nothing else comes up to interrupt me, I will probably get the next chapter of My Roommate's a Vampire uploaded tonight as well. So, enjoy.